So back to the tariffs, guys. I was thinking too. We've got to keep in mind that it's only been 1 month since Trump has gotten in. He's moved at the most rapid pace of any president in history. So it feels like he's been in there for 4 years already, and the amount of stuff that he's gotten done, or that he has done, I should say. So I think, with these tariffs, a lot of what we're seeing right now is reactionary stuff from pride of leaders of other countries, right? Oh, we're going to hit you back kind of thing.
They probably got a shell shock from the old status quo.
Yeah, it's going to settle out, right? And that's going to even out. The sides are going to, figure out what they're going to put on for tariffs, what they're not going to. And, the trade imbalances may or may not get better. We shall see. I think they will. But right now, things are changing really rapidly. So we've got to keep your eye on it as it's changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the U.S. has a big advantage because of the population and the spending power here. Something I noticed, the side of tariffs that I noticed recently that I'd never seen before was, so the next day or the day after the election result was announced, I was just watching, before I sleep out, Bloomberg is what would just scroll. The second day, the moment Trump was declared president, there was a huge increase of Chinese manufacturers making requests to their government for subsidies. So when Mark said today that the supplier was asking somebody, cutting the price on their own without even asking, they're cutting the price. I'm like, wait a minute. So when the tariff goes up, China is forced to introduce a subsidy to help the manufacturers. So they're pretty much, could it be what Trump was really after? He's actually after that subsidy money.
Exactly. I mean, they all already get, they've been getting subsidy money since who knows when, like the 90s, the 80s. They've been getting this money forever. And they're getting the subsidy money, and then all of a sudden, 2012 or 2010 comes along, and all the courses on how to sell an FBA explode. All of a sudden you go on Upwork, there's a million VAs that can source products for you. The factories in China are like, payday time, we're getting subsidies over here, and all these private label sellers that have no skills in negotiating, they don't know about supply terms, they don't know anything about anything. They go on the product tools, like you said earlier, like search your product. Oh, I'm going to sell a spatula. Hey, Mr. Supplier, can I have a spatula? And the guy goes, yeah, sure, it's $2 a unit. You pay him $2 a unit, and he's getting $1 over here. So where it should be, I'm going to pay you $1. You get $1 from over there, and now you got your $2.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, like you said earlier, Mark, first step is just to ask, right? Ask for a discount.
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, you just ask, you present it in a way that you are, obviously you're growing, you're building, you want a relationship, you want a long-term, we're in this together. The more I order from you, the more you make.
Correct.
The more better terms I get, 0% today, and I'll pay you 90% when it sells. That's better for them. It's good for you. They all have this in their mind anyway. It's just about positioning.
Yeah. And one thing I like to tell people when they're negotiating discounts, and a lot of times I'm negotiating discounts with my suppliers because I do wholesale more than private label. But I usually say that if you ask for a price and they give it to you, you didn't go low enough. So they should always counter with a higher price. Otherwise, you paid too much.
Yeah. Well, does that go back to whoever says the first number loses?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they should always come back with a higher number than what you get. So whatever you're looking for, go a little bit lower than that.
Yeah.
And if you get it, you didn't go low enough.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Don't go too crazy though. Don't try to get a $10 product for $1. That might not work. But if you got a $10 product, ask him for $6. And
See, there's a fine technology in negotiation, and you have to know more data than just how much are they selling it to me for. You need to know. You need to look into. I'm assuming I'm no professional at this myself, but Afalabi, you are. But you need to know what's the price of raw materials, what's the price of shipping, what's the price of all the pieces that make your product, because you can track backwards roughly what it's costing them, and then account for, oh my gosh, they're making 1,000% profit on this. I don't need them to make that much. I want 1,000% profit, right?
Yep.
And then make an initial lowball offer that doesn't insult them, and then go from there.
Yeah. And also like knowing the competitors, right? Like if you have an understanding what all the competitors are and where their prices are, taking into account that, I think you're in a good a wicket to just make that negotiate and go your way.
Yeah.
Well, I call it an internal bidding war, which is when I'm sourcing products, I use 2 or 3 techniques to get to that bottom number. So sometimes, like Danon said, to escape the MOQ trap, I'm like, okay, I'll buy the raw materials. How about that? You keep it for me. I still don't want to order 5,000 pieces. I only need 500 pieces. So if it's an MOQ issue with your supplier of this cloth or material, I'll buy the raw materials, and then you keep it for me, one. And the second thing, with what Mark said is by the time you get prices from like 10 different suppliers, you'll be surprised at how volatile that price is. Surprised how much difference from supplier A to supplier Z, so different, in the pricing, which is when it comes to getting the samples to really know you're comparing apples to apples. But the greatest weapon in negotiating prices is really silence. So
same thing with closing and sales.
Yeah, just so silence. So somebody, I bring this sales rep to my WeChat or WhatsApp, and I'm like, let's say I really want to pay $1, or I want to pay $1.50, but they're saying that they're stopping with $2.50 or $2.25. I'm like, look, I have other suppliers I can buy this from, but anyway, I want to pay $1.50. So they say, oh, no, I spoke to my boss and, he says no. So I just keep quiet. I never reply them again. And somebody says, for how long am I quiet? I'm like, for as long as it takes. So I keep quiet. I know by day 5 or day 6, they're pinging me.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you? No reply. I let it go on for another week.
Really? Okay.
Now, by the time it gets to like the 8th day, they're already negotiating with themselves. Okay. I spoke to boss. Boss says, $1.50. Silence. Nothing. Okay. And it's amazing how the supplier starts negotiating himself down till it gets to the point like, okay, they say this is our final cost or something like that.
Yeah.
I also want them to make money, so it's not like you're beating them up. But I found out to use a combination of all these tools. They really work well.
Yeah,
Nice.
and also like coming back to what you just said, the price fluctations is also depending on who you're talking to. Are you talking to the factory? Are you talking to the actual factory, or are you talking to a middleman that's taking a little bit of the spread?
Yeah, the trading company. Oh, something I wanted to say when Todd was saying something. So on the trade war, I'm a big believer in U.S. manufacturing, but I had my frustrations because I tried to switch some production to the U.S. and the price was probably 5 or 10 times or something like that, just some ridiculous number. And then I met this guy, or someone introduced me to this guy. He has like 7 or 8 factories in the US. He actually told me, it's like, my price is lower than anything you can get from China. I'm like, what are you making again? You know, so he supplies all the big guys like Walmart and Target. He makes private label for all these big Fortune 100 companies.
What's his name?
What's the website?
I'll give you his name. And he has injection molding companies all over
Wow.
the US. He's making spatulas, all those, all those private label brands you see in all these big stores.
Afalabi,
Nice.
why are you keeping this a secret, buddy? I think you need to build a website for this and start doing plus.us, man.
I don't want people to clog this factory before I give them too much work.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Well,
anyway, he has a lot of capacity, and I was so happy because a friend of mine that was making a product in the US, I'm like, why are you making your product? Tell me, what's the secret? It's like, oh, I got a factory that makes it for me in Texas. I said, Texas? And
Mark's already looking it up.
Grok, what factories in
countries? So Todd, I do believe that the trade war, I think the tariff, I think it will bring some serious business to U.S. manufacturers that are realistic, especially the ones that do injection molding, the ones that do automated or robotic manufacturing. I think they're going to benefit a lot. They are already benefiting, and I think it will continue.
But Afalabi, let me ask you this, because this is my understanding. Please correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that most U.S. manufacturers are not equipped or set up to be able to handle private label sellers of our size that go, I only need 500 or 1,000 or 2,000. They go, no. You order 500 containers. That's the minimum order quantity on this. So, where like, and I know you order large quantities, massive quantities. So you're in that upper echelon category, but does knowing this manufacturer exist help us that want to test and create our own product?
Yes. There are some certain products that definitely could be made in the US. They are being made in the US. Now, these are some of the things that are faced, and I hope some manufacturer is hearing this
Me too.
now. So this week, I went to a manufacturer here in Pennsylvania. I wanted to buy some machinery. I could buy it in China, but I'm like, let me go to this manufacturer. They're like an hour drive away from me. Let me just go poking. The moment I entered, I hope they're watching this show because I couldn't say this to their face. The moment I entered into their company, I saw like a lot of people, like a lot of cubicles, a lot of people. I'm like, why do you need all these people to be able to make a piece of machinery?
Yeah.
Like, they have different sections, they have people that, and I'm like, and I've been to several machinery making companies in China. They don't have all this kind of people.
Right.
And they make 10 times the capacity of what I saw this week. I'm like, I told my wife, I'm like, I can imagine how much this machinery will cost. This will cost a fortune. So I looked at one of them. I said, hey, if I want this machine, how much is it? It's like $17,500. The same machinery that is less than $1,000 in China, you're selling for $17,500.
Wow.
It's because you have all these people.
Because they're paying 17 people for that one machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I see so many people idle and talking. They're on their phone. Everybody's just, I'm like, this is one of the reasons why it's almost impossible to
All
make
right.
some products here in the US.